Think for a moment about something you might never have had the courage to face head on. Why does a woman, even with access to countless men, consciously decide to share a high-value man, instead of building exclusivity with someone like you? This question, simple in form, carries a truth that most people aren't prepared to hear, but one that you need to face. Imagine the following scenario. She knows he's not hers alone. She knows he has others. And even so, she stays. Maybe she even fights for a space in his life. Now ask yourself, why does this happen? What does this man represent that you don't? Why does she accept sharing one man, but reject being exclusive with another? Welcome to the Blackpill Femme channel. If you're ready to step out of the illusion and dive into truths that few have the courage to speak, then subscribe. Leave a like and share this video with anyone who still believes that female logic is predictable and fair. Today, we're going to reveal insights that can completely change the way you see female choices in the dating marketplace. And yes, the final revelation will be the most powerful and eye-opening of all. This phenomenon is not new. It's as old as the history of sexual dynamics itself. The preference for a high-value man, even if it means being one among many, reveals a fundamental truth. Women are willing to give up exclusivity when they perceive that a man has rare, coveted, and socially validated qualities. Rollo Tomassi, in his book The Rational Male, Chapter 4, pages 57 to 60, discusses the concept of hypergamy with brutal clarity. He shows that hypergamy is not a conscious choice, but a selective instinct. What does this mean? It means that when a woman finds a man who represents the top of the masculine hierarchy, in status, power, looks, influence, or intelligence, she is willing to compete, even if it costs her exclusivity. But stop and think, why does she do this? Why is it more advantageous for her to have a fraction of a high-value man than to have you whole? The answer lies in the perception of scarcity. In her mind, high-value men are few. And if they are few, they are precious. And if they are precious, it's worth competing for them. On the other hand, an ordinary man, accessible, willing, and emotionally available, is seen as abundant. And what is abundant loses value. This cruel logic is reinforced by the cycles of sexual value itself. While a man's sexual value grows over time as he accumulates resources, status, and wisdom, a woman's sexual value tends to decline with the passing years. This asymmetry creates a sense of urgency. She knows that time is running against her. So, when she finds a man who symbolizes status, strength, and leadership, she invests. Even if he never chooses her as a priority. Have you ever stopped to think if you are positioning yourself as that type of man? Or, unconsciously, are you behaving like just another one of the disposable ones? If you've watched this far, comment, I'm ready to see the truth. I want to know who is truly committed to understanding this game in depth. Let's analyze more deeply what makes a man be seen as high value in female eyes. And why this value justifies for her even the loss of exclusivity. We're not just talking about looks or money. That's simplistic. We're talking about a combination of perceived scarcity, self-sufficiency, social dominance, and, most importantly, the power of choice. David Buss, one of the greatest scholars of evolutionary psychology, in his book The Evolution of Desire, Chapter 7, pages 132 to 137, describes how women evolved to seek partners who demonstrate potential for provision and protection, but also status and the ability to attract other women. Yes, the female validation from other women matters. When she realizes that a man is already desired by others, her perception of his value multiplies. This explains why she prefers a piece of a desired man to the whole of an ignored man. For her, being with a sought-after man means being with someone who has been tested and approved by the market. And this market is cruel. It selects based on perception, not intention. You can be faithful, dedicated, and even emotionally mature, but if you are not perceived as scarce and coveted, she won't feel instinctively attracted. Is this hard to hear? Yes. But this is the reality that most men still refuse to accept. And as long as you don't accept it, you will continue playing a game where the other person has the advantage because she knows the rules you haven't yet learned. Ask yourself, what are you communicating to the world? Are you positioning yourself as the man she would want to compete for? Or as the man she wants to avoid hurting because he's too nice? This is where many fall, because they try to win through emotional merit, when female selection is largely instinctive, and instinct is not moved by good intentions. Instinct wants power, wants security, wants prominence, wants the man who, even if he's inaccessible, has the world revolving around him. If this is making you think, comment below, I understand the code. I want to know who is really absorbing this knowledge. Now think, how many times have you asked yourself why, even after offering everything she says she wants, affection, attention, respect, and commitment, you were still cast aside for someone who clearly didn't value those qualities? The truth is brutal. What she says she wants, and what she truly responds to emotionally, are completely different things. Robert Greene, in The Art of Seduction, Chapter 2, pages 24 to 29, shows how female desire is deeply linked to mystery, unpredictability, and challenge. A man who shows himself as predictable, accessible, and completely transparent loses his magnetism in her eyes. As unfair as this may sound, the nature of desire does not obey rational logic. It wants the man who causes an emotional impact, not the one who struggles to please. And this is where the key to the issue lies. When a man is seen as high value, he doesn't need to beg for attention or prove his worth. He is already perceived as someone who can choose. And it's exactly this freedom of choice that makes him so desirable. The man who doesn't bend to her wishes, who doesn't give in easily, and who doesn't fear losing her, that's the man she wants to conquer. That's why she prefers to be the exception for a man of value than the priority for an insecure man. Because the priority of an insecure man comes loaded with neediness, not power. And no matter how much modern discourse tries to mask this, the truth remains alive behind the scenes of attraction. She wants to be able to be proud of the man by her side. And for that, he needs to be desired, coveted, and hard to conquer. Do you start to see the inversion? While you strive to be as accessible as possible, she gets bored. While you try to prove how trustworthy you are, she wonders why you are so available. Desire is not born from logic, but from contrast. And the contrast between the common man and the high-value man lies in what he tolerates, what he allows, and how much he values himself. The red pill critique often fails by teaching men to copy external behaviors without changing the internal structure. Faking disinterest, trying to act like an alpha, or reciting pickup lines does not build real value. What builds value is genuine transformation, the elevation of your personal status, true self-sufficiency, and the development of your identity. And this is what separates men who are competed for from those who live by begging for crumbs of attention. Now look around you. See the patterns. Observe the results. And tell me, do you really believe she prefers a man just because he's fragile? Or is she following an invisible script, guided by instincts that prioritize scarcity and power above all else? If you're starting to see the game behind the game, comment, "Now I see what I used to ignore." We have reached the most important point. The one that most people ignore or avoid. But the one that explains why she prefers to share a high-value man over having exclusivity with you. And it's not just about him. It's about her. It's about what she feels about herself next to this type of man. A woman is not just looking for a man. She is looking for a feeling. An emotional experience that makes her feel valued, challenged, and even socially validated. When she gets involved with a man who is sought after, scarce, and powerful, she feels that she is ascending along with him. That by being chosen by him, even if temporarily, she validates the value she attributes to herself. This is deeper than attraction. This is identity. Professor Jordan Peterson, in various lectures and in his book, 12 Rules for Life, Chapter 10, pages 238 to 243, states that human beings don't just live in search of pleasure, but of meaning. And for many women, the meaning of their love life is to feel chosen by someone everyone else admires. Even if that man never chooses her fully. Even if she is just one among others. What matters is the symbolism he represents: power, status, dominance. That's why you, by being accessible, faithful, and kind, end up being seen as someone useful, but not desired. You became safe but predictable. Dependable, but contemptible. You became the consolation prize she only considers when time starts to take its toll on her youth. And even so, many prefer to continue chasing the man who will never commit. Because deep down, what she wants is not just a relationship. She wants a man who makes her feel like she won. That she conquered something rare. That she beat the competition. She wants the trophy. Even if it's just for a night. Do you still believe that love is about merit? That it's enough to treat her well, be present, help, and offer stability? The truth is that those things, alone, do not awaken desire. They sustain a relationship, but they don't start one. And if you are not the type of man she wants to conquer, you become the man she just tolerates. Until she finds the next one. But now you know. Now you understand. And with that understanding comes a choice: continue being the man she avoids choosing. Or become the man she fears losing. The critique of the traditional red pill is here: it's not enough to memorize phrases and become emotionally cold. That's just a reaction. The true transformation begins when you understand the internal gears of desire, instinct, and identity, and you use that not to manipulate, but to elevate yourself. If you've watched this far, leave in the comments, "I choose to be rare." Share this video with that friend who is still living trapped in the illusion of automatic reciprocity. And if you want to deepen this topic even more, watch the 2 videos that are now appearing on the screen. The first shows why female validation should not be your main focus. And the second reveals how to become the man no woman dares to treat as a backup plan. Subscribe now to the Black Pill Femme channel. Activate notifications and become part of the minority that sees the truth beyond the surface. Because while many continue to sleep, you chose to wake up. We'll see you in the next awakening.